Yo, now it's the Red Blue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. It was Marvel versus DC till we lost that thrill. Don't stress the episode, don't ask the season. We double up franchises, don't ask for a reason. Moti's got rules that nobody gets. His takes on movies, they're wild as it gets. He's got Super Bowl Mac and Gray by his side. Trying to keep it sane while they're in for the ride. Moti's measures are out of control, but in the end he's got the final role. Yeah, Red Blue Podcast, come check the scene. Movies old and new, know what I mean?
And we are live talking about a movie that's already a year old, or almost a year old. I don't quite remember exactly what time it came out, but I feel like it was like probably spring, and we are about to hit spring. How are you, Gray?
I'm doing good. You're right. I think it was spring, but kind of early summer. I think it was like 9 months ago. So I think that puts it around like end of April, start of May. I apologize. My dogs are barking. How are you doing, Multi?
I'm doing great. Just having a good time, watching lots of movies. Life is fun when you have movies. And I guess we are hoping to get Super Bowl at some point, but snowstorm are really bad here. So
Well, that's
hopefully-
okay. We can be the only people on the internet talking about babes. It deserves some talk. But let me ask you, Multi, while we're waiting for a possible third on this stream, what caused you to choose this film? Why would you want to talk about babes when nobody else is?
the best reason ever. You had seen it, so less homework for you. But yeah, I was actually curious. I thought that movie would be bad, and I hated it. So I was kind of right on that. But yeah, that's as far as I will go for now, and we will move on to the second intro, and then we will dive deep into that movie. I have no regrets, even if I sound really negative. I like watching bad movies. It's my guilty pleasure. I don't know.
Not a bad movie.
So you said it's not a bad movie. I will let you start on that one. I'm curious to hear about.
Oh, no, please. I don't want to go on for too long. I want to hear your criticism of it. Why you didn't enjoy it? Why you're considering it a bad movie? Please.
Humor. The humor is the biggest sin this movie made. It just didn't work for me most of the time. It was rough. It was really rough. I will repeat myself a lot because I read through my notes right now. There's a lot of things that comes back. My first issue was the first 5 minutes tried hard to be funny. It wasn't. It was actually unbearable. At that point, I was like, "Oh my, okay, we are in for a very long and painful movie." And that
So
was
you thought you were going to hate it, and then you thought the first 5 minutes was unbearable, and then you just assumed, okay, this is going to be painful. Okay, so saying it's unbearable doesn't tell me what you don't like about it. What about the first 5 minutes did you not like?
the humor. The humor wasn't funny.
That doesn't explain it any further. So what about the humor isn't funny? You said the humor doesn't land for you. So do you like gross out humor? Like, what would be your style of comedy if you're to think of a comedy film?
I will be honest, Kingpin. Maybe that surprises you because I did like Kingpin a lot.
Yeah, that is a Fairly Brothers. It's got some gross out, but not much. Like the most is, I guess, the landlord lady just being not super attractive and him having to vomit. Fair enough. All right, there's a bit of crudeness in there.
I'm not watching that many comedies, to be honest. Sometimes I do
I know.
because they just came out. There was a movie that came out last month that was Wedding Crasher, I think the name, Honeymoon Crasher. I thought that movie was hilarious. That was a kind of humor that makes you uncomfortable. Like, uh, lots of weird humor about like I risk to spoil kind of the movie, but it's a son that lost his wife to a former boyfriend, but he still decides to go to that honeymoon place he chose with his wife. And uh, this time around, he brings his mom along. So that gives really weird humor where everyone thinks on that island they are wed and they are together. And like, that's the kind of humor there. If anyone has seen Honeymoon Crasher, uh, they will understand.
Definitely a different type of humor for sure. This is a little bit more of kind of the, I don't know if you'd call it like late 2000s. I think it would be closer to Kingpin. It is kind of the gross out style. Like, to me, it felt like kind of Bridesmaids meets Superbad, but I'm not sure if either of those would be your style of comedy. It sounds more like you're looking for like that kind of cringe, uncomfortable feeling, which is definitely a fun, like nervous type of comedy. This is more the gross out, like it's kind of a throwback comedy. That's why I kind of didn't think you'd like this thing, since you consider that an ancient form of comedy.
I will also mention the monkey. I did laugh a lot watching the monkey. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's dark humor. It's a much different type of humor, and it's
I
a
like
lot gorier. Yeah, dark humor is great, man.
it's
I was just wondering because I don't think I've seen you like do like a straight up comedy. Basketball is probably the last one that I made you watch, and you just
I
absolutely
hated that.
hated that. I understand. That's why I wanted to know what comedy works for you. So that gives
Dark
me a couple different ideas. Dark is always great, but it sounds like the kind of cringe, uncomfortable thing is also part of your jam. So
yeah.
fair enough. I will keep that in mind going forward.
And it's also funny because I've been reading through Dexter the novels because I did happen to see the TV shows many years ago, and I know they will come back with some new season eventually. So I'm like, I will learn about the source material. And
Dude, they
there's
diverge from those books so fast.
yeah,
Stokes is so much more of a character. Like I think they're done with him in like season 2 or something like that at Dexter. But man, he keeps going in the books and is possibly even scarier. And then the dark passenger thing, I just love what they're able to do with it.
and the dark humor there is just hilarious. I think so far I'm still in the first book, and I'm almost nonstop laughing at almost every scene. And it's I think so far, at least for the first season, they adapted well the source material. They kind of didn't adapt parts of it, but that's fine. That's to be expected. But to get back to Babes, that
Yeah,
Babe
sorry for sidetracking you on your humor thing. Thank you for going into that. And I won't spoil anything in the books, but I think the books stay a little bit more consistent than the show did.
Oh, now you get me. I because I got all of the 8 books. I'm looking forward to read the rest. But yeah, Babe is clearly not my cup of tea. And again, um, these issues will come back. The restaurant was probably even more painful than the previous 5 minutes. So tried really hard to be funny again. I didn't laugh. I think we were like a few minutes into that movie, and I'm like, what am I watching? Why did I accept it to torture myself with it? Regrets, regrets, regrets. Um, I I will put out of the way every issues I had, but they are pretty much almost the same all the time. But there's still a few things that can redeem to some extent that movie. But the third one, the giving bird scene was horrendous. I think that was on purpose, but like it was painful. It was painful. Issue number
So which
4.
one? It happens multiple times. Are you going in chronological order? So are we still at
Yeah,
the beginning?
yeah, still the beginning. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you like gross out humor or crude humor at all.
I don't. I don't. But I didn't expect that movie to be all about that. It kind of caught me by surprise. I will be honest. The next issue would be after the bird scene, there was other terrible attempts at humor. Number 5 feels off that the lead would be okay with sleeping with some stranger she met a few hours earlier in the subway. That was weird. Am I crazy to think about that?
Yeah, that sounds awfully prudish. So no, you don't feel like a whirlwind romance or being swept off your feet or anything like that could be a thing. Just a connection. And then the fact that not only does this person like the same food that you like, apparently they're kick-ass at the same game that you like. I don't know, man. I could see being real swept away. What can I say? It doesn't help that he's an attractive dude on the subway too. I'm just saying, he's dressed nicely. What I think, you see somebody really kind of dressed in a 3-piece suit or the equivalent for a female. I think it might catch your eye. Like, okay, why are you all dressed up? I don't know, man. I think it would disarm me a bit if, there's some lady in like a prom gown or something like that.
And didn't they go at the same clinic or something?
Yeah, but they don't know that at the time. They found that out later, just through conversation where you bring up what clinic you go get tested at regularly. Whatever. It's a thing.
That movie. It promotes behavior I don't agree with.
You're not into the crude. It turns out you're a prude. We get this, Multi. It's just fine.
Number 6 feels very convenient. The guys being the emergency contact of the dead guy. I get it. They needed a way to tell the lead the dad died, but a better way to do it would be making them reading about it in the journal or something. I don't know, man. Like it felt like they didn't know how to tell the main character the guy died. And they were like, oh, yeah, let's just say we are the emergency contact. That was weird. I feel like they had better ways to explain that. But any thoughts on that, Dre?
Yeah, there might be better ways, but you don't get the humor okay, he's willing to bring up the clinic that he gets tested at by these twins, where it's like, you're only identifying the clinic because there's 2 twins that are like the test givers or whatever. They don't appear to be like real doctors. I think they're nurses or something. But he likes them so much he brings them up on a first date and has them as his emergency contact. But he did establish earlier that he doesn't have parents. His dad died when he was young and his mother just died. So it's not like there's next of kin to go ahead and contact her or anything like that. It kind of makes sense. He doesn't have many people in his life, and they seem like cool dudes who test him regularly and often. So, I don't know, man. For me, it works, but it's also played for the joke, where they keep bringing up the HIPAA thing. Like, we can't give you that information. Oh, wait, he's dead. So, I don't know. It works for me, but, I was feeling this comedy, where it doesn't seem like you were.
Yeah, I wasn't. Next.
I mean, you could make it like you see something on Facebook or something like that, but where's the joke in that? Where I chuckled at that scene like 3 times.
Okay, I guess it was for the joke, and that's why I didn't like it. The next thing was number 7, the pregnant photo shoot tried hard to be funny. It wasn't. Number 8, bitch line was unbearable. I hated that they kept using it, overplayed it. And the last issue, it's hard to suspend disbelief and to take seriously the main character when she says she had a connection with the stranger. I guess that was the comedy again, but man, I'm not feeling
You've
it.
Never had a connection with somebody after meeting them like once, like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, I got to be around that person. No? Okay, man. Well, I hope one day you fall in love and you feel that instant spark. But, maybe that won't happen maybe it'll happen to you magically very soon. It's a fun feeling. It feels like you're really connected to this person. You can't wait for them to call or whatever. But unfortunately, this dude met a very untimely demise, so he's not going to call. But that honeymoon phase of a relationship, it's kind of fun. I could see if it were cut right there, having a much deeper impact on somebody than perhaps a regular like 2-3 date fizzle out thing would.
Yeah. So these were my issues, and again, I feel like there are a few redeeming qualities. It wasn't the worst movie I had seen last year. There's a lot more contenders for that one. I thought it was well shown how the main character sucks as a babysitter by showing R-rated movies to a young kid. That was funny. I admit, I was like, okay, that's a good scene there. Terrible mom.
She's not a mom though. She's a babysitter, and that's a badass babysitter to show you the Omen. What can I say? It reminds me of a bunch of my babysitters.
Okay. Well shown how the best friend has doubt about the lead being pregnant and capable of being a mother. And it was also funny how she was kind of worried that having that kid would separate them even more, but that's still interesting because she had a kid and they were still kind of friends, but yeah, that could be a concern. That was interesting. And I enjoyed some of the scenes they had together, both friends. And the girl lying to the doctor about his heirs was funny. Some of the humor didn't work. Overall, most of it didn't work for me, but some of it did. Some of it did. I won't go too much more deep into it. I think that movie is one of the many movies I've seen. And it did its purpose, watching a movie. So I'll let you go on now, Gray. What did you think of Babes?
Well, I had a much better time than you, but I did kind of realize what this was. So when I watched it last year, I was like, okay, this is okay. It didn't make my top 10 list, didn't make my bottom 10 list. It was just like, all right, that's a decent comedy. But yeah, having to rewatch this, which, by the way, I think you already know, but you should know that it doesn't make less homework for me because I got to watch it like relatively close to when we're going to talk about it. So I had to rewatch this anyway. So just so you know, choosing something that I've seen, I'm still going to have to rewatch it again. But, I really got more out of it this time. I think I really enjoyed it a lot more, understanding what it was. I think the first time I saw it, I was a little confused as to what kind of comedy it's going to be, what exactly we're going to get with this. And it turns out it's kind of like the female version of a raunchy comedy. To me, it really kind of seems like Bridesmaids meets Superbad, especially the kind of crude humor in Superbad, where it is these two friends who are, very, very connected, and you can really see the heart of this friendship throughout it. I'm getting super vibes of that, and then it feels like it is that kind of early 2000s, late 90s gross out humor. But this time, the girls get to do it, which is awesome. So I really enjoyed it a lot more this second time. Not kind of questioning what it's going to be, but just kind of accepting what it is. And man, all the humor really worked on me a lot better. Maybe I was in the right mood that I needed some brightening of my spirits or whatever. But watching it last night definitely helped me out. Maybe I was in the right mindset, but man, so this thing's awesome. So it's written by Alana Glazer and Josh Rabinowitz. They both come from Broad City. I don't think you have seen that show at all, have you? Alana Glazer's show. So it started as like this internet.
That thing is.
Oh, well, it's hilarious. You would hate it. So it's she started as like a web series, and then it became a full Comedy Central show. But they were both writers on there. She was the writer, main star of it. But so, yeah, this is the first time that they've kind of worked together writing a feature. And then they got a first-time director to come in for this, who is Pamela Adlon. I don't know if you're familiar because it is ancient, according to you. But are you familiar with the cartoon King of the Hill at all?
I did hear about it. Actually, it was on one of the networks I used to watch a lot, but it was playing too late during the night. But
Hmm.
I know the guy with the glasses and the beers. So yeah,
Yeah, Hank Hill. Well, the son, Bobby Hill, is actually voiced by Pamela Adlon. That's how I first knew of this lady. She is amazing. And she's a beautiful lady to have the voice of Bobby Hill coming out of her. But it's just kind of perfect. So obviously it's ancient. You wouldn't understand that cartoon. But it is kind of an amazing transformation when you see that voice coming out of that body. Like it doesn't make sense to me. And then she is hilarious on her own. She's also acted in a bunch of different stuff. I think I first really became aware of who she was, and like that first blew my mind that she was Bobby Hill. Was she played Louis C.K.'s wife on? Now I'm forgetting the name of his first one, Lucky Louie. And then she is also on the FX series Louie, but she did not play his wife in that one. But man, she's an amazing comedic actress, and she understands this whole kind of pain of being a mother and kind of those moments where you're just fed up with everything and it's like, okay, just take the stupid juice box or whatever. I don't know, she was able to really portray that in Lucky Louie, and there were glimpses of that and a lot of other things that she did, but man, I think she was really able to hit that tone in the direction of this. And then there's a couple scenes that really kind of jumped out to me. Overall, they played it as a comedy, so visually there's not a ton that you do during that. It's kind of set up the camera. If the camera's noticed, you're not playing to the comedy. Instead, it's kind of more artsy. So it is a little bit more subtle with the cinematography, but there is one scene that she got to go kind of all out, and that was on the very Dutch angled red tinted shroom scene. To me, I really liked a lot of that. It's that over the top, and man, the Dutch angles add to kind of the disorientation. I've seen a bunch of different kind of ways of showing a trip, but that one to me, it really worked. And man, it made me laugh a ton this last time. Not only do you get to see reality, but you also get to see it from their point of view, and both of those just, man, it made me chuckle each time. I understand it's gross humor. It's ladies doing things that Multi would rather not think about. So it's not for everybody. But yeah, so I thought she got to kind of stretch her directorial control in that a little bit. And yeah, it was really awesome. So this is her first feature film, Pamela Adlon. I can't wait to see what she does next. She's done a bunch of TV, and she's directed a bunch of shows. And I kind of get a bit of feel for that here, but there's a couple ways that she was able to kind of use the camera slightly differently, give it kind of a bigger thing. I really dig the trip scene for sure. But other than that, it's starring I always screw up her name, so it's Alana Glazer and Michelle Bateau. So I think it really shows these girls' friendship. It rings out as true. You were even saying in this movie that you hate, you actually believe them as friends. That is because they are friends for like 20 years. So for some reason, she didn't have anyone in mind for the Dawn character. But as Alana Glazer, Eden, the new mother, as she was kind of trying to come up with who it was, all of a sudden, like her best friend kind of popped into her mind. Like, why not bring in Michelle? And I got to say, the chemistry really works to me. It seems very real, where there's a couple other things in this that don't seem as real, like the classic boyfriend or husband in every like rom-com is Hassan Minaj, and he does play Dawn's husband in this one. Just, I don't know, I'd be cool with never seeing that dude as that type of role again. Like, he's always either forget this guy's boyfriend or forget this guy the husband. Just, it's not about him. He's a good guy. So I don't know. It just feels like he's always playing that same type of part. So I don't think I need him, but almost everybody else in here just really worked for me so much as the casting. From the doctor, who just has this amazing reoccurring bit. I understand maybe it's not the humor for you, Multi, but I love that he's talking about how bad his comb over is, and the next time you see him, the comb over is even worse. And then, it progresses from there. I really dig it. I'm a big fan of that actor. Anytime I get to see John Carroll Lynch, I'm happy. And something where you got to really play a little bit of physical humor. Man, I dig it. I dig his kind of dry delivery style. So yeah, I found the first 5 minutes completely different. I enjoyed them very much. I thought it was kind of cute that they have, like rituals that they do. And even though apparently, there's kind of an emergency where one of their water breaks. So you'd think they would be rushing, but they want to kind of complete the ritual. And instead of going for medical attention, they decide to go get some food. To me, I think that's hilarious, especially they give like the comedic reasoning of, well, I was in labor 10 hours last time and I'm starving. So let's just get some food. I thought that was hilarious. To me, it seems like this is kind of my type of comedy where you've got kind of this loser, clueless person and they're just kind of fumbling through life. And I feel that very much from this character, from Alana's character. But it seems like as society, we're not as open with women being that type of character. Like it kind of has to be men that are these loser F-ups who need to get their lives together. And I don't know. I kind of liked the tables turned on this one. So to just like totally support your friend of like, let's go to a restaurant instead. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I don't know. To me, that really worked. And then from there, they realize the error in their ways. And now Michelle can't even walk out of there. She has to crawl to the elevator. To me, that was hilarious. And like kind of threatening the waiter. I enjoyed that. Then we get to the birth scene and man, it gets crude in a fun way. So it's not exactly the Omen levels of like crude or showing things. Like we're not talking NC-17. It's all in your mind. They're just describing it with words. And man, I think that's hilarious. I think the line, "Did I shit on my baby? No, you more babied on your shit." That is hilarious to me. I understand that it's too crude for Multi, but with all luck, hopefully you get to experience that magical thing one day, and hopefully you don't just get so disgusted that you need to leave the room. But then to follow that up with the $500 of sushi and then to be shut down, so then you're eating sushi on a train. Man, to me, that is hilarious. I think the opening to this is very hilarious. And then meeting the charming guy in a 3-piece suit who, is willing to try and stop the train so that you don't lose your $500 of sushi. To me, that's awesome. That would be a reason why I would strike up a conversation. And you've got so much sushi, why not offer this rando on the subway some sushi? To me, it seems like an awesome little meet cute or whatever they're doing there. And, it works. What can I say? I've been swept up from just meeting somebody and been so into them that it's like, okay, let's go somewhere else. Let's keep this night going or whatever. So I don't know. I don't find that romance so bad, but I thought they did something really kind of funny with that. Instead, they just end the relationship. And we kind of already said it with your review of it, but this guy prematurely leaves this mortal coil. And that is kind of dedicated to, I'm sure you didn't watch it all the way to the end of the credits, but it is dedicated to Kevin Barnett, who was one of the writers on Broad City as well. I believe he also acted in that, but he did the Rel Show and Lil Rel, a bunch of different shows. I think the Carmichael Show as well. He was involved in a whole bunch of them. He not only acted and wrote, but sadly, he was on vacation and he just suffered from non-traumatic pancreatitis and just passed away like really suddenly when he was in his, I can't remember if it was late 20s or early 30s, but just very
That's
untimely.
young. It's like me dying soon. What?
So
Okay.
they wanted to basically dedicate this movie to him and make this character that really represents him. So it was just really sudden, and the way that they were able to do it and then kind of pay homage. And this guy really, Stefan James is the guy who played Claude, but he really kind of captures this Kevin Barnett energy and kind of performance. It really kind of feels like that dude. But yeah, they just wanted him kind of taken out unceremoniously really quick. And I thought the way that they were able to do it with the doctors, you're right. It does seem a little unplausible, especially with the whole HIPAA thing. Health, I forget everything, but it is Protection Act. They're supposed to protect your health information. I'm pretty sure those are them. There's another P in there somewhere, but we'll forget about it. Whatever that initialism is. But yeah, they are very aware of it. They even make a little bit about it. But then the second that she makes them aware of who the patient is, they're just like, oh yeah, that dude, he died. Just the way that they're able to just really kind of, I don't know what you'd want to say, rip off that band-aid really quickly. Man, I thought that scene was really played comedically perfectly. I don't know how you'd get a couple pops like that, some humor in any other way that you'd kind of express that information to them. Like if she just happened to notice, like if he says where he works or something like that, and she calls, I don't know, because even then it's like your work shouldn't tell a random person that calls that you're dead. I don't know, man. I'm not sure how else you'd get that information across, but for me, it really worked. And then I could, again, if you're caught up in that romance, that honeymoon period, I could see really being infatuated with somebody. Really thinking that perhaps this is the one chance to kind of have them live on, especially after they've bonded with you, bonded with the mothers dying early.
Maybe
And
I'm a
kind of,
mess, but it takes me more than like an evening on the subway to bond with someone. I mean,
oh,
it takes me at least 2 or 3
come
days.
on, man. Wear your heart on your sleeve. You know, put yourself out there. Be open to love. But fair enough. I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't fall in love with everybody I've met on the subway. In fact, I have never fallen in love with anyone I've met on the subway, but I get the idea of it. You can, fall in love quite quickly, and you can have a whirlwind romance, something that really sweeps you up. It's good times. So I thought that was really funny. And the actors who play the two doctors are the Lucas brothers. Those dudes are hilarious. I think I could watch them tell me anything, and it would probably make me crack up. They just have a way of kind of playing off of each other. Twins. What can I say? They have their own thing. And then that's when we get the first comb over not working after that. I thought that humor is hilarious. I especially love anything that had the John Carroll Lynch character in it. That doctor is hilarious. But, she was swept up in this love thing, this Alana Glazer character, Eden. And, she did see it as destiny. And then the fact that she's pregnant, it's Destiny's Child. What can I say? I liked those little stupid jokes like that. I thought the fact that she's coming up with a themed birth, and then the fact that what the theme is, to me, that made me chuckle so much. Like, who does a themed birth? Like, we just saw that scene from the beginning. She wants to have, like, specific balloons around her while that shit's going down. I don't know. If my wife wanted to have a themed birth, I guess that would be okay. I'd bring in the stupid balloons and streamers, but I don't know, man. It strikes my funny chord, the fact that she wants to actually do that. But then from there, you get that bitch conversation, and I understand why you'd hate it. You hated the dude conversation from Basketball, but it's basically the same thing, where these two friends who know each other so well are able to portray an entire conversation with just the delivery of one simple word. In Basketball, it was dude, 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 dude. And in this one, it's bitch. To me, it works perfectly. It is the exact same humor. It is the same, even length, I think, that scene. And I think you said the exact same criticism that scene went on too long. I disagree. Just when you think it's not funny, it becomes funny again. It goes on just the right amount of time. So then we get to an Office Space like version of when they're just destroying the pump machine. To me, that was awesome. It seemed like it was definitely an Office Space reference. Man, that seemed great. Then we get to the amazing babysitting where she is willing to try and make a bargain with a 4-year-old, and then also show them The Omen. That to me is just amazing humor. Maybe it's because I had bad babysitters, but dude, what is a babysitter if they don't show you a horror movie that traumatizes you for life? That's awesome. I thought Oliver Platt coming in as the deadbeat dad, it just makes sense. And it's kind of a character that I haven't seen Oliver Platt play before, but I thought he did that perfectly. Just the way that he was so standoffish, and even when they're sitting on a bench, they can't just sit on a bench together. They're like at opposite ends of it. It just, I don't know. To me, that just made sense. I really like that portrayal. And then he says something kind of poignant, like bad dads make for good kids. I get that it would make the kid work more, but yeah, I'm not sure that that's quite right. But I still dug Platt's performance with that. And then the whole like I gotta go, where he repeats the same cycle, where he can't just sit around, he can't just talk to her, he can't just connect, he's just got to leave. To me, that really works, and you can see why Eden would be so interested in this guy that essentially left her when that's her experience with her father. I don't know. To me, that seems somewhat poetic, and you could kind of get why this would mean so much to her. And then I thought the doula interviews were just hilarious. I thought the concept of a male doula was hilarious. To me, all of those were great. And then I thought Michelle Bateau's postpartum depression depiction. Oh man, it just seemed to be so poignant, and it worked on so many levels for me. I know I had a mom that didn't want to be a mom, and I feel like I experienced a whole bunch of moments like what Michelle was portraying in this, and how she was able to just be that like, I can't do anything. I don't want to go on. Here's your damn juice box. Like you don't have the energy to do anything. You don't want to do anything, but still you're taking care of the kid, and you're just taking those couple moments when you can get them to yourself. Man, that just seemed awesome to me. I really dug that. I thought the callbacks to all the hair things were really hilarious. I thought the concept of a baby moon was also hilarious, especially when it doesn't seem like it was for the actual mother to be, and she didn't even check the pregnancy box. I thought the whole masseuse saying the worst possible thing was hilarious to me. I really enjoyed that entire thing. I understand you're not into the gross, crude, gross out humor, but the plumber thing, the entire description of the situation, and then why they can't live at that house anymore, to me, that seemed awesome. And then I thought there were a couple of really poignant lines kind of strewn throughout. I thought the dad explaining his situation, I thought there was some really poignant writing in there. And then same thing with the description of life. And it's actually Hassan Minhaj, who is somebody that I generally don't like to enjoy any of his performances. Again, I could do with him never playing the husband again. But I thought he had a really good description of life. That
I agree with you on that. I will say I think the husband was another kind of good thing about that movie. I think it's one of the redeeming qualities of the movie. Another one would be like how they patched up their friendship by the end. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you. And go on.
I just thought one of the most I don't know, I guess beautiful lines that was delivered in this was from Hassan Minhaj, where he was saying that he hates his work and there's nothing but horrible shit at home, and then he gets to work and nobody cares. And the best case for him is that he dies and there will be mild relief. And hopefully he'll be able to do that after the kids are grown. To me, that just it describes the whole situation so poignantly. I didn't have that verbatim, but man, his entire speech there, just it really works for me. And it seems like there is a layer to this character that I didn't get in like any of his other ones. I believe he basically plays the exact same character in now I'm forgetting it, the Lily Blossom Bloom, It Ends With Us thing. But yeah, this just seems like a character that actually has some depth compared to that same exact character he always plays. And then they actually get to the themed birth, including the balloons, the dress, and the tulle gloves. Man, it was just so over the top. I really enjoyed it. Same thing with the whole the friendship and getting it back together thing. That really worked for me. I gotta be honest, it brought more emotion to me than I expected. It definitely didn't hit me the same way the first time I watched it. And then, we've got to get back to the crude humor because now we're in the birth scene. And I thought the I don't want a doggy style with my baby was quite hilarious. And then the shit callback, which I'm sure you hated, but
I did.
It's going full circle. So I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I enjoyed the whole idea of the I'd rather see you later than say goodbye for real. And man, it really worked for me. But I think I didn't know exactly what I was getting the first time. I just kind of thought that, I'm getting a comedy. I'm sure it's going to be cute. And then the fact that it ended up being like a gross out, crude comedy, only it was starring females. Man, it really worked for me. I wish people had given this more of a chance. Sadly, I don't know the budget of this one. I don't think it was super high, but it did get released to, I think it was like initially 200, and they moved it to like 400, and they moved it to 1,000 theaters. But it did make $3.8 billion in the million, excuse me, not billion, $1 million in the box office. So that's pretty good. When I'm pretty sure this isn't the most expensive film that was made.
And
Sadly, I couldn't see any
I
sort of estimates on the budget though.
I can also tell you this. I don't know if it was a very high release. What I mean by there is
It was not.
I don't think there's a lot of theater that were playing that movie.
It wasn't.
I don't think any of the theaters, at least where I live, were playing that movie. And there's a lot of theaters in my town and in neighboring towns. So I think that was.
Don't think it was released internationally. I think it was only domestically. I know it eventually grew to 1,000 theaters domestically, but 1,000 theaters across 50 states is not much. So, yeah, sadly, it didn't equate to quite as big a hit as I think this one deserved. I think if people would have gotten their eyes on this, they might have seen that you can still do a crude comedy in this day and age, and it can be somewhat successful to everybody but Multi, who hates that style of comedy.
I do hate it. But yeah, I think the husband was cool and the friendship was nice. But these are the only redeeming qualities of the movie for me. Do you want to add anything else, Gray?
I feel like I've spoken too much, but I hope Pamela Adlon does another one. I'd definitely like to see where she could kind of go now that she's kind of got the feel behind the camera, so to speak. And man, I'm definitely looking to see whatever Alana Glazer writes next, because man, she knows comedy. I'm really digging it. So I look forward to whatever comes next, even if Multi doesn't.
What would be your grade out of 10 for Babes?
Yeah. So that being said, I'm kind of torn on this. I know you're going to give it really low, so I kind of want to give it a higher score because of that, but I realize that I cannot negate your score. So I feel like I got to be honest. I feel like a 7.5 for me is probably where it sits comfortably. I think before my second viewing, I would have put it a little bit lower, like maybe a 7. But yeah, it's growing on me, man. I really dig the comedy and the delivery of it. I think I would rather watch this than say Bridesmaids or whatever. So yeah, man, I hope something like this gets continued. But where would you go with this, Multi? I know you didn't enjoy it nearly as much.
Again, I think there were worst movies last year, so I will still give it a quite low score, but I really need to repeat that. I've seen worst. It will be a 4 out of 10 for me. It's not great. It's not great. Could be worse. Could be like Mousetrap or some shit like that, or Popeye's Revenge. But that's funny because recently I did see Kind of Pregnant, and I felt like there were similar comedies in the intent or somewhere or something like that, and I feel like Kind of Pregnant was slightly above that. But yeah, Babes.
You are wrong on so many levels. So you're right. It's kind of a crude loser person, where again the females don't usually get to play that. Usually it's a male thing, so it's kind of gender swap. So I will totally go along with you on that. But when you say it's better than this, you're just wrong. And the budget being so much more on that one. I mean, you can get a Zamboni because they had the budget for it, but that doesn't make it better. It might be the best Zamboni humor of the year, but it is not a good comedy.
This I agree. It was slightly better, but the bar was low. So I thought that was a very interesting discussion, and I'm happy you liked it more than me. Again, I enjoy when opinions are different. That's the point of having these discussions. It's to just debate, but not debating, but debating about like movies and saying, "Oh yeah, it's bad or it's good, but it's not that bad or not that good." I like that. So I guess there's not that much to say because it's only us, but that's amazing. Thank you a lot, Dre. What do you have going on your end of the internet?
Not much. Videos soon, but yeah, check out the Thinkers every Thursday on that darn Kiddas channel. We're taking over for the next few weeks while she's out of town, so come watch us destroy her channel. YouTube at that darn kidda. People from like it used to be like 4 different countries / continents, but now we're gonna have a little bit less. So come join us. Listen to us all yell at each other, but amicably walk away from this. I think this week we're talking about the Zelensky Trump thing, and if paying the $70 for a game gives you the right to criticize it. So if that interests you, come over to that darn Kidda's channel Thursday morning. Sorry for cutting you off, Multi. What do you have going on, sir?
That sounds fun. That Zelensky thing, wow. And games, yeah. I look. I told you a bit backstage. I'm more occupied than I used to, so I don't know how I will manage my time. But all I know is next week, either Monday or probably Wednesday or Thursday, one of these 3 days, I will be covering Mickey 17 because I'm really excited about that movie. I think that will be a very fun movie, a very fun sci-fi flick. Outside of that, next Tuesday we talk about Galaxy Quest or Kingpin, and then we will talk backstage about the other one and upload later. That must be discussed about. But yeah, maybe gaming Saturday. Maybe there's a big maybe there. Outside of that, there's not that much happening here. Usually I'm much more present online, but yeah, it's life. Things happen, and I guess we are out now.
Yeah, Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean? The Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean?